9 balls. His pot success rate was only 89%.
Well, he better improve, or a good chance he gets beat, to be honest with you. I mean, Kristina, very capable, and, you know, she figures things out. Of course, you know, the communication between her and her boyfriend Federer, I mean, that doesn't hurt at all. Two very humble players that are always looking to learn and get better. So I think Carlo better improve quite a bit, actually, if he wants to make it to that qualification round. And Kristina will learn about the slick table there. If she was really trying to come all the way down, that's pretty impossible when the ball's close to the rail off of a full hit like that. It's always going to hug.
The 23-year-old Kristina Tkach, born in Moscow, and this year in particular she's been attending the University of the Road, here, there and everywhere, crisscrossing this vast land. I would say they have been, her and Fedor Gorsh, to maybe 40 of the 50 states.
Yeah, well, you know, as an American pool player, you know, you always heard about going on the road and playing tournaments, and of course action back in the day was a mix and a part of it. But for what I've found through the years, you know, any of the foreigners, they always kind of heard about that as well and always wanted to do it, just travel through America playing pool and seeing all the incredible pool rooms and all the people that play the game. This tricky shot right here. This ball could double kiss and stand up. So she's got to pay attention to this one. You don't want to hit it too light either. Yeah, nice shot. What's the 6 going to do? It's going to get right in the way, and get right in the way awkwardly. Don't think the 5 goes, Phil. What a little bit of a terrible roll, especially the opening shots that she's made to get to this point. Yeah, an awkward safety as well. I mean, nothing easy about this at all. You can't hit the right side of this without maybe getting into the 7 with the cue ball, so not an easy escape. You could go touchy off the left side of the 5, go to the rail and come up on the 6, but that's pure talent. You got to have an incredible touch. So not only a little upsetting not getting the offensive shots she deserved, but very difficult situation here. Almost to the point you may end up, well, can she roll the 5 past the 6 and just cozy up on the 6 like that? I don't think so. This is very, very tough.
Yeah, and tough to take, as you say.
Looks like she's going forward on top of the 6, maybe. No? Oh, she tried to... I think she tried to 3-rail the 5 around and stun the cue ball towards the 7, trying to use the 6 as a blocker. Yeah, that wasn't an open miss. She was trying to move that around the table and get the cue ball, like I said, behind the 6.
And then to compound the issue, the horrible double kiss and the white into the middle pocket without touching the sides.
Well, and I'll tell you, just those first few opening shots, I think will be a bit more of a wake-up call for Carlo and really grab his attention. He knows Kristina, of course, and how great a player she is. But seeing it firsthand when you're the opponent, a bit more effective on, you know, making sure you're doing the right thing. Well, what's some matches we have coming up? Jesus Atencio and Alexander Kazakis. Like I said, I think Atencio has one of the biggest upsides in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, from Venezuela, one of the finest players to emerge from South America. And this is a sport that spans all of the continents. We see it throughout the year on the ever-expanding Matchroom pool calendar, the World Cup of Pool, the World Masters. But you know, when it comes to individual glory, there's nothing bigger than the US Open. Win this and you have arrived. As we said before, it's going to be a very busy day. You can see all kinds of matches going on in the very early stages of this event. One very interesting scoreline: Pia Filler, the wife of Joshua Filler, has arrived on the hill against Kevin Scalzitti. 8-6 up she is. So we could have a Filler double within the matter of a few moments, because hubby Joshua is 7-2 up on Jeffrey Kennedy.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the entire draw for the Fillers, but they did have to play each other in the European Open. Didn't catch that one. Took a little speed off. Now the 2 ball's gonna maybe help him out. It's close. So making that one in the side, it's all about the speed and the connection on the one, how heavy you're gonna hit it or how thin, depending on the speed you want to play. She may be able to get at this though. Yeah, using the right side of the pocket to make that one. Has a nice shot on the 2 in either the lower left or right. Now a little more missable ball, believe it or not, shooting it to the lower right, just because you don't have much room to slide the ball in, but you know, facing that pocket a little bit more, most players will still play that way. But that's the thing, and another thing you have to remind yourself, and I say it often, is the ball's cut a little easier out here on the slick equipment.
You know, I interviewed Carlo Biado after he won his first match, and he was saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah, we remind the guys in the Moscone that all ball fouls here, so very close to the pink 4, but we remind the guys of that, and you just have to stay committed to it. But when the heat of the battle's going on, it's easy to revert back, is the thing. Carlo, who knows the game so well, just come across for the 5 in the side. A little bit of a punch there. Got the prime angle though to come to the top rail and back down for the 6. It's going to be perfect. May just hold the cue ball there. No reason to really go forward. Oh my. Maybe the biggest miss on an easy shot you'll ever see from Carlo. A little quick with the stroke. I was just going to comment on a lot of shots like that when Carlo's hitting center ball. He'll cue a hair to the left on the tip, but then come through. You see, you can't tell there, but man, that was missed by quite some distance.
Yeah, that was the point. It was a very, very unexpected miss, yes. But I think even more shocking was how far he missed it by. A total misjudgment.
Yeah, you can miss it by, you know, 10%, you might say, in a ratio that we could explain, but you know, at that angle, the ball will slide in even when you're not perfect, but you really have to miss the mark from that angle, especially with simple cue ball just holding it there. She's going to hold him behind the 9. Speed's going to get away from her. So nerves are a little high for Kristina at the moment as well.
She's been playing this game since the age of 9, and at that age, In her first year of playing the game, she finished third in the Russian Under-18 Ladies Championship at the age of 9.
Wow. Well, I believe coached by her father, I believe that's correct. And so obviously a very smart man there and knew how to get the most out of his daughter at a young age. Just like her boyfriend Federer, really pleasant people to be around, always has something nice to say, and but big time competitors. And don't let that nice fool you. All right, draw the cue ball between the 8 and 9 here. Yeah, he's definitely a little off right there. He would have wanted a little more zip on the cue ball. So when you're getting a little quick, the tip will come up a little bit, and I think that's what's gotten the best of Carlo on a few mistakes.
"2-0 it is, but that missed 6 ball in particular will not be a pleasant thing for him to mull over as he goes back to his chair. Just looking to see whether your man Oscar Dominguez has come through yet. Jeremy, not quite. He's 8-2 up on Kenny Wynn.
Yeah, Danny Olson. I don't know Kevin West. I may know him if I see him. But Danny having a little struggle there.
Yeah, West 5-3 up. Actually, Jeff Kennedy is getting a few racks against Joshua Filler now. It's 7-3 to the flying German. Tolian Han from Singapore on the hill against Stephen Holm. 8-5. Jason Shaw 6-3 up on Vincent Beaurivage now.
All right, Carlo to break now in game number 3. And like I said, I watch Carlo a lot, and I see a much different Carlo a little later in the event as far as what I think are nerves. So nothing wrong with nerves. I mean, you know, he's obviously prepared. It just shows you how much these guys and ladies want it.
And before we get into the crux of this rack, let me tell you, talking about lady players, great performance from Pia Filler. She's through her first match, cleared the opening hurdle. She defeated Kevin Scalzitti by 9 racks to 6.
Now, if he's comfortable clipping the left side of this, just barely coming one rail behind the 4 up to the top rail, I think if the touch is right, he can get the cue ball up on the 7-9. He catches a little thin or thick, it may get away from him. Oh, he played it like that, very thinly. May have left a gap, I don't think so, but we'll probably see the jump cue. Federer Gorst, I think, you know, under pressure, the best in the world with the jump cue, so I'm sure Kristina, I wouldn't say as good as Federer, but I'm sure she can handle herself very well with the short cue. I think just a hair of a dog to make this. She may get a little bit of a roll. She certainly has tied up quite a few balls, and looks like Carlo will probably kick between the 5 and the 8. I don't think he pulls out the jump cue here, maybe. Sure looked like she made it, huh?
It's a really congested area of the table, that now, isn't it?
Yeah, the good thing is that, you know, the 4's not over the side, but whoever gets the shot at the 2 can maybe produce something to get on that 5. Looks to me he can kick between the 5 and 8 and really have a good chance to make this 2. Cue ball should slide up the table past the 4. This won't be babied. This will have a little speed on it. A lot of times when the guys hit this, they make it. Just like that. And now he's definitely gonna, ooh, does he have a cut in the side to try and, like I said, produce something on the 5? this is where he can't get loose against Kristina. She can punish him for sure. So unless he's very convinced of what he's doing, you don't want to make the 4 and then trap yourself on the 5 ball. One thing that you and I, surprising to me, haven't discussed at all yet, Phil, is a little baseball. And maybe that's because the Angels are at home. I'm not sure what it is.
We'll get round to it. Don't you worry.
Oh, beautiful touch there. And I'll tell you, that's more of the Carlo I'm used to seeing with a really nice touch, good creative mind. I got to talk to Carl about the schedule tomorrow. I'm going to look and see when the Astros play. So.
Yeah, you see, rubbing it in. He knows my beloved Angels are going to make the playoffs yet again, and he knows full well the Astros are there and in fine fettle.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's got a potential to be I say this a lot, that baseball, but there's so many great pitchers and so many great teams left in it. I think it's got a chance to be something special. Now, has he really unleashed the draw stroke here? He's fallen a little straight. He could draw, back to a thin cut on the 7, but then you have to have a good speed on the draw stroke. If you end up short, you're behind the 9. If you end up long, you're really no shot on the 7. So he's going to let her out here. Low left here, really try to spin the ball. Into the 8 it appears. Is he going to get too much? Now watch, he's gotten on the gap almost. So.
Well, he can't complain too much. At least he can see a segment of the 7. Might well have been 4-ball snooker there.
Yeah, and he's wondering, how did I get behind, get that much on it to get to the 8, behind the 8. But I'll tell you, early, he may have played a little lighter and, just played a safety on the 7, just to make sure. Because if he gets jammed up there, it gets Kristina back to the table with a doable run. He could have his hands full. And this is a beautiful speed here on the cue ball. That's almost always the correct speed coming to the rail. Now this is where the slick table will fool you. Kick into this left side rail right here. Because what you can depend on is the first angle being somewhat true. But the second rail is the problem. It won't really take the right English like you think it will. And therefore you could whiff the 7 or hit it much thinner than you really want. She got behind it with a super nice speed. Really unfortunate to catch the point. Man, Kristina in just 3 games has not had much love.
3 already cruel rolls. 2 in succession in the opening rack. And when you're the underdog against the reigning US Open champion, you need luck on your side, not the opposite.
Well, definitely not the opposite. But the good thing for Kristina, and she'll recognize this, that I'm hitting the ball how I want. Things are happening how I want for the most part as far as the things, in my hands. The pool gods, they have another say-so here and there. But so if she, of course, be the professional she is, stick to it, wait for some opportunity, she probably gets back in this match. Because she looks more settled to me than Carlo does, to be honest.
3-0, but that is quite a flattering scoreline, one has to say, for the defending champion. Yeah, you're right, Kristina Tkach has got a really good CV. She's won many, many tournaments. Actually, a former world 9-ball junior champion in the ladies division. When it comes to the female Euro Tour, she's won 8 times, including last year's Lascaux Open. Multiple Russian national titles. And European Championships, she's won 4 of them. 2 in 8-ball, 2 in straight ball.
Well, just like her boyfriend, no one's going to outwork her. That's for sure. And what keeps these champions getting better is just that open mind to the improvement and understanding it's a long-term thing for the great players. They're not going to see, you know, those improvements like, you know, our first golden break. So things rolling for Carlo here on table 1.
Again, you could say that's a cruel roll for Kristina, marooned in a chair as the 9 ball goes in without needing a doormat. Didn't wipe its feet, went straight in.
Yeah, and that usually happens after a big mistake, is when you get punished with the golden break. But quite the opposite here for Kristina and Carlo. And Carlo will take it, though.
I thought his attitude in the opening match was exemplary, actually. Although he wasn't playing well and he was playing an opponent he knew he was going to beat, he never took his foot off the gas in any way, shape or form. There's no doubt about it, in my mind, and of course motivation can only take you so far, but in my mind, he's massively motivated to try and retain this title.
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing about the Filipino players. Very appreciative of what they get to do, and that just creates hard work and someone who's going to be prepared. Just like last year, you can't win this title without being prepared. And expect Carlo to settle in more and more as the event goes. A rollout situation here in an open 2 ball, so nothing easy. Looks like he's going to roll out to a kick shot. You wouldn't normally roll out to where your opponent can see this ball right here. I don't know about that. I mean, she cuts the 2 by the 5, puts it up there behind the 3, brings the cue ball back behind the 7-9 here. I don't think Carlo's going to get this back, or he shouldn't. Wow, well, that tells me she's snookered. And I still probably don't even give it up if I'm snookered here. I'd probably take on the kick shot if I was Kristina.
Especially taking into consideration Biado's kicking prowess.
Yeah, and you know, we've already seen her play some nice kick shots as well. Now, if he can see this, that would be double surprising that she gave it up, but I got to believe he's snookered. And especially all he's got to do is get it going back across, and look at the 3-8-6, the 5. He's got a lot of action on getting a big snooker here. Now, it did field goal between those balls, so it's going to turn out to be a good choice from Kristina. Which I kind of thought he, you know, a little unlucky the 2 didn't catch one of those balls to slow it down, but I kind of thought Carlo hit it a little firm anyways. Cue ball up behind the 6-8 here. Very routine. It's got to go a little bit. That's got to go. And a very rare mistake on a very good percentage play from the young lady. Yeah. And I'm wondering why she missed her mark there, what the concern was. Maybe overrunning. May see a rail first here. Feel a little easier to get position, I think.
Well, he's mustered at this kind of shot, he really is.
Well, you can smooth it more because you're creating a thin angle when you play the rail first shot, which, you know, leads to easy cue ball movement. And now in a good position to put his 5th rack on the board. He's got some work still, but he's got that starter. Okay, the 6 to the 7. So he'll come across. He'd love to shoot the 5 and lay near the side rail, creating an angle on the 6 to follow the cue ball around a couple rails. Caught that a little thick. Looks like he's perfect to do what I was talking about, though. He's got to watch this now. You get close to it, that's top left corner becomes a little more of a problem for the cue ball. I think he's all right, though. And he got a lot closer to that corner, though. I guess it was pretty stress-free.
No, I think you're right. He was closer than he wanted to be, but everything worked out in the end. As it did, by the way, on table 2 for Jason Shaw. Had his early irritations. In the end, though, he came through 9-3 against Vincent Beaurivage.
Yeah, Danny Olson with his hands full, now trailing 7-3 against Kevin West. So Danny, who hasn't played a lot of the big events this year, you know, maybe a little bit nervy here to open in the U.S. Open.
As for this match, well, it is going all one direction. The direction of the title holder, Carlo Biado, aided by a golden break in the 4th rack, and then a more conventional finish there after Kristina Tkach's safety error. Well, the Filipino leads 5-0. Can't tell you, Oscar Dominguez over the line. He's beaten Kenny Wynn 9-2. So this is the order of play now on table 1. And coming up next, an early blockbuster. Now, I don't think it's too much of an exaggeration to say that might be the final, or certainly a quarter or semi-final. And yet Chris Melling and Billy Thorpe are playing in winners round 1.
Yeah, it should be a high-powered match. Both guys that come with shots that a lot of players don't come with kick shots, bank shots, kiss shots. A lot of creativity.
And this is the order of play on table 2, which is lagging a little behind, even though Jason Shaw quickly got over the line against Beaurivage. Next up over there, it's Kazakis against Jesus Atencio.
Yeah, and Jesus, who would played a few of the bigger events, but not as many. I think you're going to see that change here in the next season. And of course, we have a big event to start that season here in just a couple weeks' time, the International. Another fine event on the East Coast. And you'll see pretty much most all these players stay to play in that as well. It looks like to me he can hold the ball pretty easily for the 2 in the corner and just take a cut shot on the 3. With the 4 hanging, you really don't have to worry about position coming off the 3. I would just pinch hold this. Looks like he's going to play it in the side instead. I believe that's a hair of a missable ball with the 5 there. Maybe it just tickles in off the 5 is what he's thinking. That was tight, Phil. Yeah, that 2 ball was really the hard work in this rack, even though it didn't seem that difficult. It was touchy. Everything else kind of opened up after that, and really after only one glaring mistake from Kristina on a safety, she's going to find herself at 6-0 down and has to stay strong mentally.
She was guilty of one poor safety, one has to say, in rack 5. But apart from that, she's not made a succession of glaring errors. As for Biado, he's short of where he wanted to be on the 8.
Yeah, he got quick with the punch stroke there, and you don't get much out of it when you get a little quick. And now he's got to really work the cue ball. First things first, don't take your eye off the 8.
And so with the cue ball so close to the side cushion, Jeremy, this is not a certainty.
No, the most missed easy shot when nerves are high is that cue ball being on the rail.
but he made that shot look a much more simple proposition than it actually was. And so it is now 6-0. Carlo Biado against Nicolin Dalibor in the opening match this morning came through 9-1. Now he could improve on that scoreline here. From the Philippines, Roland Garcia on the hill against Jeremy Seaman. It is now 8-6 there. Tony Robles and Ivan Belmonte, 5-5. Daniel Schneider from Switzerland, 7-5 up on Adrian Prasad. And how about this? Another giant of the game coming into the fray. Albin Auschen from Austria has to be considered one of the title contenders. He's playing a gentleman called Willie Parks. Now, the first ever winner of the Open Golf Championship in 1860 was called Willie Park. So you take the S away and you've got golfing history.
I always learn something from my counterpart here, Phil Yates. Steel trap. He's got a steel trap for a brain. And okay, here's that difficult layout. Well, the 4 opened up. I don't think the 5-7 is that great, but the 4's near. Maybe you can get short side on the 5. I think he's got a decent shot on the 2, even though it's not easy. Easy position on the 3. Again, this is the type of shot you have to stay a little more full on. Easy to overcut this to the right point. Just like that. I know it's a little practice, a little reminder, but you almost have to experience in it, aiming a little heavier at those shots.
And look at this. Poor old Kristina Tkach. My advice, Kristina, if you do lose this match, don't go into the casino just yet.
Yeah, and a difficult little safety. You have a very open center of the table, hard to get a snooker. You certainly don't want to flirt with going towards the 5-7 and open that up. So just a thin hit, trying to leave distance. Don't lose the cue ball in the top right. Oh, she played it really thin. I would have went ahead and went all the way with it. And the only reason I say that is if you don't get the snooker on the 9, you leave, Carlo a little easier cueing. I think I would have went ahead and went to the end rail and tried to use a little distance as my, protection for the most part anyways. Now he can bank the 2 back up, trying to kill the cue ball behind the 5-7. It's not easy. He can bank at the 2, long rail. It's not terrible. Try to follow the cue ball up on the side rail, maybe get the 9 as a little protection. I don't think I go for the bank here myself, though. It's definitely not a bad shot. And it looks like it lays okay, like I said, to follow the cue ball up on the left side rail, trying to use the 9 as a little backup safety. He's overhit this a little bit. I think the 2's going to come up the rail. Nothing easy for Kristina. Problem here is it's too light, I think, to come 1 rail across. I think, anyways, if she's cutting it in. But if you're trying to go 3 rails back and forth, the cue ball is going to dive forward a little bit. So watch out for the 8 becoming a big problem. See how it dives forward off of that angle with the slick felt. It's just hard shot to really get the results you want.
Already today, a whole succession of very wise calls from Jeremy Jones, and there was another.
She does have a clip, a little piece of the 3. It's sitting nice. She can use the 8 a little bit. Maybe the 3 comes off the rail, bumps the 8 just a hair. Oh, she's whiffed it. That's going to hurt. Now Carlo will look at the 5 to see if it's playable in the lower left, because the 4 is in a great position to get on that short side 5 ball. Also, the 4 is in a great position to break open the 5-7 if needed. I personally wouldn't do that if the 5 plays to the lower left. Okay. Not sure who our referee is. It was Marcel earlier, but they'll be on top of this if he does attack. And can he catch enough of the 7 to draw the cue ball clean and safe here? I think so. He's got to catch some of the 7 here. He could lose the cue ball.
It was a fine pot, but everything running in his favour, the way the 7 caressed the 9 and stayed over the pocket, leaving what is a very routine run out. Had the balance of luck gone exactly the opposite way, this could have been a competitive match. As it is, Biado has got all of that skill, that experience, and he's got fortune, and that's a pretty unplayable combination. It is 7-0. He's 2 racks away from a place in the winners' qualification round.
Yeah, and whoever gets through there will have a day off tomorrow.
These are some of the round 1 matches currently taking place. Philip Prentice at the bottom was 6-5 up on Karol Skaversky, the World Pool Masters champion of 10 years ago, but Skaversky is now back on level terms. And then we've got the winner round 1 matches as well. Some interesting contests there. Ralph Souquet lost the opening rack against Yamal Usi, now though 6-1 up. As for Matt Krah and Copigny, the American doing okay. It's 3-3.
Yeah, he's a tough player. I don't know. I saw another 9 going there, and I was going to say, you know, as great as Carlo is, and the roles he's, or let's say just unfortunate that Kristina's had, that, you know, he could be leading the entire field at 6-0 in this kind of match. So nothing against Kristina and what's happened so far. Now another difficult rollout situation. I think Jeremy Seaman had drawn that match to 8-7 between him and Roland Garcia.
Yeah, you're correct on that one. Kevin West on the hill, 8-3 up on Danny Olsen. Albin Ashen, it's a walk in the park so far against Willie Parks, 4-0.
I may have gone rail first here and made the 9 and let the cue ball come off the 9 to this rail here with the 2-3. Very difficult, and you never know, though. Kristina may want the pressure of the 9 ball being in play for an early winner, possibly. Carlo didn't take much time passing this rollout. I'll tell you what she could do here, even though it looks a little bit low percentage. She could try to cut the 1. It looks like the 6 may play on the opposite side. Very difficult shot, though. And where are you going for position on the 2? So she definitely has something in mind as far as a safety, I believe. Going up behind the 8, I guess. Banking the 1 back down. May have to go a little bit again. We'll see. All right, so Carlo's going to cut at this 1 if he can see it. I don't know if he can, but he's got a big pocket with the 9 there. Actually, I think she got the full snooker with the 8. The problem is not a difficult kick to slide the cue ball behind the 2 and the 3. I got a little full. So nothing easy for Kristina, but definitely a chance. don't think the kiss shot is on. If she had gone maybe a cue ball's width further down, the kiss shot's on, but I think she's got to play the triple combo here to get on the board and get things going.
2, 3, 9.
Well, she's playing the kiss shot, so she can't afford to hit the 3. Oh, is it going to hold up? A lot of left spin. Got it down.
Yeah, she just about got that 9 in without the cue ball following. And so the whitewash is averted. Kristina Tkach gets her first rack on the board. Carlo Biado, temporarily at least, is held up from reaching the winning line. It's 7-1. Not much room past that 3. She did well there.
No, she couldn't get at it naturally. She had to use the left spin to kind of throw the 9 in, and a nice shot and a nice look at Kristina there getting on the board. Really deserved a lot more than what's happened so far, but hey, she's still in it.
One of the most ignominious positions in these tournaments. Who is going to be the first player to be eliminated? Now, obviously that will be the first loser we have on the losers round 1 side. At the moment, it might well be Scott Haas from the USA, who finds himself 7-4 down against Mustafa Alner of Turkey. We'll let you know who the first one is to hit the road.
Well, I see Max Eberle's name there on the loser round 1. I'm curious to see who beat Max in the opening match, and loss of the cue ball there for Kristina. So that one's on her, and Carlo back to the table.
In answer to your question, Max Eberle was beaten 9-5 by Ronaldo Dendariarina from Puerto Rico.
Actually, I think I know Ronaldo, actually. Back in the 90s, Puerto Rico had produced some nice players. Of course, a Puerto Rican Spanish Mike is what he was called, Mike LeBron, who has won this championship before. Actually, the oldest player, I think, ever to win this championship at 50+ years old. All right, Carlos just having a look at the 6, knowing that he wants an angle on the 5, but it's not totally essential. He can cheat this 5 a little bit, get out enough to cut the 6 in. Okay, now this is going to be a little funny. He's got to not flirt with the side, I wouldn't say, but he's got to come up that right side rail bit to make sure the 8's not an issue. Probably not a whole lot of side spin, if any. Looked like he was really putting left English there, but Carlo cues every shot a hair on the left, especially if he's hitting a high ball. And then he'll bring the tip back to his desired hitting position. See that a lot with players that start at a young age and develop some habits that aren't really necessarily bad. It's just a little different.
(8-1) Biado, the defending champion, smoothly moves to the hill. Well, actually, you know, he didn't start Biado as young as his opponent. We talked about Kristina Tkach taking up the game at the age of 9. He took up the game at the age of 13. He actually worked as a caddy at the Villamor Air Base in the Philippines. And after work, he would play pool at night. Soon became very good. Soon started to win a few bucks and went from there.
Yeah, it's always fun to hear the different stories, how players get started or what they had to deal with or go through to keep playing this game. And Carlo's such a talent and our defending champion here at the 2022 U.S. Open.
One quick scoreline for you. Philip Prentice is back in front against Karol Skaversky at 7-6. We could see our first shot.
Yeah, Tony Robles in a heater as well, up 6-5. Oh, he's getting a lot of movement on that 9. Or these balls are going to open up. He's going to get a chance to end this match without Kristina coming back to the table. Nothing easy though. A 4 or 5 that's difficult on the side rail. But he's had some movement on that 9 along with one golden break. He's got to pull this by the 9, so watch out for some ugly kiss on the cue ball, maybe off the 7 or the 8. Like that. That's the kiss I was fearing. Right off to the side, but pool, you got to take a chance quite often.
And that kiss means that his positional options are somewhat limited.
And this is all speed control, and that's not going to get there. And Carlo's got to work on, he's getting into the cue ball a little bit much at impact, making the ball arc a lot. And anytime the ball arcs, it's going to take a little longer path, which makes sense. He ended up short here. So you almost have to just trust smoothing it around the table and knowing the bed's going to get me there. Talk about it really almost every event. Now we'll see how he's going to cue this, but okay, he's hitting it with a high left, trying to play the cross corner bank. And he got a kiss on the 6, so that was off by some mark. I think if you asked Carlo and what we think is inevitable, win for him in round 2, winner side round 1, I think you're going to hear Carlo that would be happy to get through today, just because I just don't think he's totally calm. He's totally settled.
And if he does come through, his next opponent will be tougher. Jovan Bustamante or Elliot Sanderson. Bustamante leading 4-1 at the moment.
Yeah, 8-1. I mean, she's not counting herself out, so I don't think cutting at this is really something that's just like, oh, let me just go for it just because. I think that's where she would attack from anyways. It's going to get away from the pocket just enough.
And now the odds are stacked on the likelihood of back-to-back 9-1 victories for Carlo Biado as he launches the defence of his title. Now 9-1 against back-to-back opponents, that suggests good form, but there's big room for improvement.
Yeah, and I think the form will come just when he settles in. I don't think, there's not a cueing issue. I mean, there's not, some real problem to have a lot of concern other than, like I said, just settling in, getting more comfortable. And what I've seen, maybe taking a little more time around the table, just a little bit. That was a better stroke. A lot of eyes on Carlo, maybe more than he's used to. Talked about how he kind of goes about things without a lot of attention at times, but now being the defending champion, a lot more on his plate, a lot more talked about early, and could have affected him a little bit here in day 1.
Kristina Tkach will go to the one-loss side of the draw. Carlo Biado will go into the winners' qualification round. For the second match in a row, he's emerged a 9-1 victor. So let's have a look at the stats and the tail of the tape to see if there was any kind of improvement on his first match. Well, there was. His pot success rate first up against Nicolin Dalibor was 89%, there 97%. That's more like it. Potting from distance, he was more effective.